Hey folks, AJ the CEO here, and we're back on it's been a minute for another media booth. This is where we kind of sit down and talk with you as if you are part of the media ministry, and we just talk about the things that are kind of important and not from a technical standpoint, but more from a leadership standpoint and team development. So, y'all see the title. Hopefully you enjoyed the nice thumbnail as well too, and it talks about how to be a good bad guy. Where do I come from this? I normally like to always talk about and uplift and build people and all this other stuff, but when you're in a position of leadership, I'm not a sports person. I was in wrestling, I was in marching band, I did martial arts, did stuff like that. But when you're in a team, the role of the coach is to push you to the next limit and then to the next level, but also tell you the things that give you kind of like a tough love and kind of tell you stuff that if you're on the outside, it sounds like, man, that coach is being a jerk, not realizing that the purpose behind why he's doing or why they're doing what they're doing is not to tear you down, but it's to break away all the shackles that are holding you back from reaching the next level. And I think from media ministry, and I've had this a lot recently, but just over the years of being in music ministry and media ministry, I've had to do stuff like this where people would think that you're a bad guy, but sometimes you have to be one. Now, I'm not saying villainous type of bad guy with the with the bad evil laugh, but it's one of those things where when you have to do those things that are not going to make you a fan of everybody, but you just got to tell people, like I always jokingly tell people, and this is old school, that I have to hand out some Timex watches to people because I need to let people know what time it is. And if you don't get that, don't worry about it. But it's sometimes, I used to tell my choir when I played for them, I was like, and you notice in sports as well too, if you're always winning all the time, most of the time you become complacent. That's why losses and failures are a good thing. Failures show you where you're lacking in skill or where stuff placed where certain areas where you need more work. If you're winning all the time, you're robbing yourself of seeing where your deficiencies are. And sometimes when we come to media ministry, you got to tell people the stuff that they might not want to hear. So, like for example, say you have somebody who loves to sing and they love blowing up the microphone, but then they complain when they go back and they listen to the live stream and they're like, well, I don't hear myself singing. Yeah, because as the role of the media ministry, I had to pull you down because you were dominating over everybody in the entire choir. You weren't balanced and you were actually off from what everybody was singing. You were in the wrong key. You were sharp. You were flat. You were something. You were sick that day, and yeah, you wanted it to sound like this, but for the overall sound, not the individual, the overall sound, I had to balance you out. And then sometimes, hey, I had to pull you completely out of the mix because you just weren't blending. Some people get mad at that. Sometimes it's like, hey, a musician is playing too loud and they don't want to turn themselves down. So we got to turn you down in the board. Some people get mad about that. And when you try and tell them that, again, go back to the coach analogy. If it's a parent who's never been taught sports, they're on the sidelines, they're thinking, oh, you're picking on my child. No, I'm not picking on your child. Or no, I'm not picking on anybody in a ministry. It's like you don't know what the vision and the purpose of what we're doing. So the media ministry's purpose is to be the gatekeeper of anything that goes out from a digital form that leaves the ministry. Last thing you need, and y'all have seen this so many times on social media, that somebody would do something completely crazy, wilding out, funny, and now your ministry is known not for the message that's being taught, but for the spectacle and the meme that now is propagating throughout the entire internet. That's what the media ministry is doing. There are times where, hey, I've had to cut songs And we'll live stream it, but then after the service is over, I edit that thing right out because it's about the presentation. Think about it for a second. I think we're so heavenly minded that we completely are no earthly good. Think about it. How would you like it if you were wanting to buy a new car and in the commercial they show the car breaking down? They show all the faults and the failures and stuff like that. That's what you see all the time. No, they cut that out. That's the same way. Why would you want to show nothing but the bad? That's the whole point of video editing and all this other stuff like that. Why would you know that the choir is sounding bad and you're like, oh, we're just going to put that out there? And it's like, no, nobody's going to be impressed by that. If a pastor slips up and does something in a recording or in his sermons or something like that, you wouldn't want that to stay out there the entire time. That's the mindset. And sometimes a lot of people think you're being a jerk. It's not. You just have to tell people this is just what it is. If you're not in my ministry, you don't know the reasoning why we do this. Yeah, it looks like I'm being a bad guy, but I'm being true to doing what I need to do when it comes to a ministry standpoint. We talked about it before. If you're so focused on your ministry, your talent, and your gift, if you're focused on that, you don't have enough time to critique everybody else. My hope is I'm going to do my darndest to do the best that I can when I was in music ministry, do the best that I can in media ministry, and I focus on that. I'm not worried about, hey, are you being the best usher that you possibly can? Are you being the best trustee? I'm hoping that you have the same desire that I do to be proficient and skilled in what I'm doing. So I put my head down and I focus on the task at hand, which at the time was music ministry. Now it's media ministry. Now it's training. That's what I do. I don't use the limited time that I have, the precious time that I have, to critique everybody else in a field, in a ministry that I'm not called to work on. So again, it's how do you be a good bad guy? Sometimes it's not about maintaining. Let me go back. I think one of the concerns that I have in just the body of Christ in general is we're too busy pleasing people with a lie to where they're comfortable with a lie instead of telling them the honest, not brutal, the honest truth that may hurt their feelings, but it's the truth. And why would you want to live a life on a lie to find out at the end of your life, man, that was a lie that I was being told the entire time, instead of, yeah, that hurt me, but it helped grow me. It helped me get on the right path of what I was doing. So don't hold your tongue when you know something is wrong. Speak up. That's what it's about. But you don't have to be brutally honest. It's about being honest and realize if you're really doing what you're supposed to be doing, those are the things that need to be said. Think about it. Do you think Jesus was worried about it when he came in there and started flipping over tables? That was the truth. What was being done was wrong. Yeah, people got mad and ticked off at what he was doing, but it was the right thing to do. So sometimes there are certain things that I could go on and on about this, and I don't want to drag this out. I know some of y'all are in positions to where you have to deal with people that want to control the media ministry, but they have no clue of what they're talking about. And this is me. I'm gonna give you a scenario of a similar situation that I had. Somebody was saying, "Oh, well, AJ, we need to do I think the media needs to do this, this, and this. They need to do a sound check. They need to do this." I'm like, how about this? Before you give me any input on that, let me make sure y'all got y'all stuff straight here, because y'all have y'all's own issues going on, because I was a part of the music ministry. This is what y'all need to work on. The media is working on this. So instead of spending all your time trying to tell the media what to do, how about y'all get y'all stuff straight and then we'll get our stuff straight. If you have a whole lot of wisdom and knowledge on how we can handle the media, this is what I suggest you do. Go ahead and quit the music ministry and join the media ministry and help us with your insight. If you're not going to do that, focus on what you're doing. Make your stuff as best as you possibly can, and we'll work on making our stuff as best as we possibly can. There's no reason for people to jump ship. Even though, like, for example, I came from music ministry, I know the concepts, but that's not my season. That's not where I'm working right now. So I'm not going to jump over to music ministry and tell people, oh, hey, your sopranos are sharp, or your altos, they need to do this. Oh, I could do that, but that's not my position. I stay where I'm assigned. And that's where I can work on. And then sometimes when people step over into a different boundary, respectfully, you have to say, hey, if you're not a part of the media, if you're not a part of this ministry, I appreciate it. But unless you're going to volunteer, let us handle this right now. Bring some grievances or some concerns to the head of that ministry. But if you're not going to do that, you kind of like stay in your own lane, because we had too much time jumping, trying to critique everybody else when, like, you're trying to critique this when you ain't even got your stuff right. I don't know. That's the nicest way I can say it. So how do you be a good bad guy? It's like you be honest, not brutally honest. You just be honest and you tell people the truth about stuff. And unfortunately, you're never going to be able to please people. Offense is the easiest thing that people in the church and just in general want to do. People are easily offended by everything. So as long as you know in yourself that you're, could you receive what you're saying to somebody else? That's kind of really the goal, because if you try to go out of your way to try and please everybody, you're going to end up offending somebody. You're never going to be able to please everybody. Somebody is going to, oh, AJ, I don't like the fact that you keep wearing this shirt all the time when you do video. People will find something to complain about. And if you're so caught up on that, first, we're not going to be moving our ministry forward, our mission to spread the message throughout the world. We're not going to be able to do that because we're going to be so caught up on the little stuff that, honestly, if you really think about it in the grand scheme, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't help. It doesn't contribute to everything in anything, any way, shape, or form. So I jump back to another podcast that we talked about before. It's like, stay in your lane, master what you are doing, be faithful over the things that you've given, and then you'll be promoted to do other stuff. Think about the parable of the talents. When the ruler gave the 3 talents, the 1, the 2, and the 5, the one with the 5 didn't go back telling the person with the 1 what to do. The one with 2 didn't do it. They got their talent and they worked it, but the one with the 1 didn't. Work on your talent, grow it, and then you're promoted. Don't try and jump and tell everybody else what to do when you haven't even worried about your stuff. What would that sound like? The parable, the one that had 1 talent is trying to tell the 5 and the 2 what to do, but the one with the 1 talent ain't did nothing themselves. So I don't know. I don't know if it kind of came out. I don't want to come out like I'm just trying to bash people or nothing like that. But sometimes you have to tell people what time it is. You have to tell them, these are the rules of the road. This is our ministry. This is the standard operating procedure. This is the purpose of what we're doing. If you don't understand that, join the ministry and get firsthand perspective on why we do what we do. If you're not interested in that, I appreciate your concerns, but guess what? This is the direction that we're going. All right. So I hope that helps. Let me leave a comment down below if that resonates with you. Hey, if I'm off on that, if you don't agree with it, hey, I like to have a dialogue as long as we're respectful with each other. Hey, drop it down in the comments down below, because I am not a finished product. We're always still trying to work to get better. And it's better to try and move forward than to be comfortable standing still. That's what it's like. So I hope y'all have a great one, and we'll be seeing y'all on the next media booth, folks. Later.